Hey guys, and welcome back to the homestead. I just wanted to bring you along really quick. It's been super hot, so I've been doing my gardening either super early in the morning or super late at night after I've got my son in bed, and I just got him laid down. It's actually only like 8 o'clock, so I figured I would bring you guys along while it's still daylight and show you what that looks like. Okay, so as we get a little bit closer, you can see I have my cucumbers here. They are struggling a little bit with this heat, but not doing too bad. They are still producing. And I have, of course, let several of them get way too big, but I've been juicing a lot, so they're not too bad to go in the juicer, even when they're a little bit larger than I would prefer to pick them. This one will be ready probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. Another one there. On one side, the side you're looking at right now, that's all National Pickling cucumbers. And then on this side is Market Moors, which they are struggling even more with the heat than the National Pickling are. And I just picked everything off of here, so I don't know that I'll have anything to show you. It's not producing quite as well. But that's the cucumbers. And then as we come over here, I've got about 180 green bean plants that I planted using the square foot gardening method. And I have already got 2 pickings off of them, and I've got several on here. I don't know if I can find one. Yeah, so here's one, a couple of them that I'm leaving to collect for seed. Then I'm going to pull these all out and I'll do another round for fall. It's July 21st, so we still got plenty of time here. And I've got some okra, and I have already picked everything off of here as well. You can see the Japanese beetles are really going to town. I have used some diatomaceous earth, but those beetles are just relentless this year. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of okra yet. They really just in the last week or two have started producing. They are loving this heat. It's not bothering them a bit. And then I've got some sweet corn here. If I back up a little bit, you can probably tell the difference. I did 2 varieties. This one, and then you can kind of see a line like right here. This is a different variety. I'll have to come up and see which one. Okay, so this one is Providence Sweet, and then these taller ones are Devotion Sweet. And I'll come in a little bit closer so you can see the ears. We're not ready yet. Oop. I don't know if you can see that. Not ready quite yet, but I don't think it'll be long. This is my first year growing sweet corn, so I'm not super familiar with it. I really don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. But as you can see, I am growing corn, so I guess I'm not doing too bad. This is the other variety. It has a little bit different coloration on the tassels. They were red, and they're also not ready yet, but I don't think it'll be too much longer. And as we come a little bit behind the corn, I had several more squash plants kind of on this backside. You can see my pile where I've been ripping them out. The squash bugs have really just taken over. I left this one because it is still producing. I probably will pick that tonight, but you can see the bugs, they are just everywhere. They're completely taking over. So I've ripped out most of the plants and put them in the compost pile, and I'll start another round, direct sow, and that will be a little bit of squash for the fall. I probably won't do 5 plants like I did for summer, but I will do maybe 1 or 2. And I've got my melons over here, watermelon, and then in the back corner is cantaloupe. And I don't know if you can hear that, but they're not quite ready. They've still got a ways to go. But I do have several of them. Here's a couple more. This is another squash plant that I have left. Actually, this is zucchini. I have left it because there's several little ones starting. I don't know if you can see those. But we'll see if they actually get to maturity before the squash bugs completely kill the plant, or if they'll end up in a pile like this one. There's a couple more watermelon. Then if we head back this direction, I do have some cantaloupe. This is my first year growing cantaloupe. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing. And they're pretty small. But there's another one right here. And over here, I've got about 5 of them. We'll see if they amount to anything. I am trying to water them quite a bit with this heat. Hopefully that helps. But I will try my best to keep you posted on that. I am getting ready to rip quite a bit of stuff out of the garden to prepare for fall and winter. I'm going to do a lot of amending to the soil. So I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff ripped out and ready to do that this fall. But I did want to show you everything before I harvested everything and before I ripped it out. This was an experiment that I did. This is tomato plants planted incredibly close together. There is 9 of them, and they are all 1 foot apart. And I didn't prune as heavily with these as I did. You can kind of see I've got some tomatoes on this back row here. I pruned those a lot more heavily. But I just wanted to see if there really was a big difference between pruning and not pruning as far as disease was concerned. It's incredibly humid here in Missouri, so blight is usually a concern. But I really, so far, have not noticed a problem with these. The only problem I've had with any of my tomato plants is the tomato hornworm, which I've been out here picking on. And I think at this point, they're pretty well done, but they were hot and heavy there for a while. You can see I've got a blushing tomato down there, a little bit past blushing, I'd say. And then I'll bring you over here to show you the rest of the tomato plants. And they've got quite a few tomatoes on them, as you can see. They're definitely not the healthiest looking tomato plants I've ever produced, but I also put these in extremely late, and this year was my year of just haphazard gardening. I didn't plan this garden really at all. I basically moved here and put a garden in, so I just kind of figured it will be what it will be, and it hasn't really been too bad. You can kind of see I've got some tomatoes over in here as well. And then this one looks like it's blushing a little bit. Several different varieties. This one doesn't even have a stake, mainly because, as you can see, the tomato hornworm pretty well stripped it very early. But there is a few little sweet 100s on it, so I just left it so that I can get a little bit of a snack here and there. And this is the apple tree, which has been eaten alive by Japanese beetles. But you can very clearly see there's still a bunch of apples on it. Hopefully they won't drop, and they'll be given a chance to ripen. And I'll be able to harvest some, hopefully. I'm gonna zoom in. It's a beautiful tree, and it was so pretty in the spring. I'll try and throw a picture in here if I can of, well, I'll try to throw in several pictures of what the garden has looked like. I've done a really good job of taking pictures and posting in my garden club on Facebook throughout the season, but I haven't been very good about updating YouTube. So I'll try and throw in a bunch of pictures here. Here's a few of my pepper plants. You can see I've got some peppers on there. Well, I hope you can see. It is starting to get pretty dark out. Lots of flowers. Several banana peppers over here. I actually need to come out and harvest those. What I plan to do with those is just pickle them. But this is a whole row of bell peppers that have not done very well, but they are starting to produce, so I will take it. And then as we come up here, this is another new crop for me. Actually, let's backtrack. This really wide alleyway that you see here was actually my salad bar. All my lettuce and kale and spinach was in this area. But after it all bolted when it got super hot earlier this season, I went ahead and ripped that out and threw the landscape barrier over it just to keep the weeds from going crazy. So I did have all of my greens and stuff in here. And then this is a new crop for me this year. I've never grown it. It's eggplant, and I think it's doing okay. Like I said, I don't really know. I've never grown eggplant, but I see flowers and they look fairly healthy. So I do have leaf curl, but it's also been 103 degrees today, so can't say that I blame them. Here's another one. You can see some flowers in there. And then here, where the grass has grown back like crazy, I had 2 rows of onions, which I have already harvested. Again, I'll try and throw some pictures in of some of the things that I've harvested and been able to can. And I'm sorry if you hear my air conditioner. I'll try to go around to the other side of the house. But I did just want to show you the garden as it looks today. And also the beautiful sunset that happens over the garden every night. It's just gorgeous. Oh, and then I guess I can show you this too, if the lighting will allow me to. This is the peach tree, and I do have some peaches on it, and they are starting to ripen a little bit, but this tree needs some pruning. And also the Japanese beetles are eating the peaches. So I don't know if I'll actually get a harvest out of it, but it is a beautiful tree. And if you know what to do to get rid of these beetles, that actually works, let me know. And I don't believe that those bags do anything except attract more beetles. So I'm not gonna use those. But that's the peach tree. And then I'll kind of pan around. You can see a little bit of the property. I moved here the very last week of December. And it's now July, so I haven't lived here a full year yet, but I absolutely love it. And I just love the view when I'm out in the garden at night and the sun is setting. It's just beautiful. Okay, well, it is getting pretty dark. I know you can't tell because my camera on my phone actually does light this area up quite a bit, but it is a little after 9 and I need to clean up my kitchen and get everything ready to go to bed. So I am going to let y'all go. I'll try to, like I said, throw a bunch of pictures in to update you about the first half of the summer, since I did not do that at all. And then as I start to kind of amend the soil and get everything ready for next year's planting, my plan is to bring you along for that. But I do work a full-time job and I do have a 2-year-old. So I'm incredibly busy, and sometimes YouTube just doesn't happen as much as I would like it to. Sometimes I just don't have the time or energy to do it, but I will try. It was nice catching up with you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and until next time.